What is up, everybody? Welcome to Jamestown. I'm James, and today we're going to do a start to finish deal video about one of my most recent wholesale deals that netted us just under $10,000. And we were able to close it from beginning to end in just about 28 days, so it was a pretty quick deal. Now this deal is special because I found both the motivated seller and the cash buyer on Facebook. This is the first deal I did where I didn't generate the lead by pulling a list on Propstream, so make sure you stick around to the end of the video so you can see how I was able to make $10,000 just using Facebook. Let's get into it. Alright, so like I said, I did not pull a list to find this motivated seller. I actually used Facebook ads. Now I've been running Facebook ads for about a couple months now. I didn't really have enough money to do it when I first started. And as you can see here, I'll pop up on the screen. I've spent thousands of dollars over the past couple months. And I actually have a guy for me, shout out to Courtney, who manages my Facebook ads for me and brings in leads that way. So for this particular lead, I got a text message saying that I got a new lead in the pipeline. I check it out, it's a guy named Bob. So Facebook Leads automatically sends them an automated message basically saying, hey, we got your inquiry about selling your house, is now a good time to talk. Bob texted back and said yes. So I called Bob up, and he was a really cool guy in his late 50s, early 60s. He had a really nice all brick townhouse that's out by the lake outside Chicago. I knew immediately it was a super desirable area and it would be easy to find a buyer for this one if I was able to get it. So after talking to Bob, he was really desperate to sell before the end of the year, and I think we started talking in early November because he needed to write it off for his taxes or he was going to end up being screwed. So he tried selling it traditionally. His house was actually currently listed with a real estate agent and had been for months, and it had gotten nowhere. He had buyers get it under contract, then drop out last minute. It sounded to me like some of them might have been wholesalers. Some of them, their financing fell through. And basically he was just done with it. So he saw my ad and he wanted to give me a try. So we had to wait for his listing agreement to expire with his real estate agent. So I told him, give me a call, a day before it expires and we can go ahead and put it under contract. So he calls me a day before it expires and he says that his real estate agent actually brought him a buyer and that he didn't know if he should go with that buyer or go with me. Now, because I wanted him to do what was best for him, I just recommended that if he was sure the other guy could perform and was offering $5,000 more than I was, I told him to just take that one, and if he needed any help from me in the future, just to let me know. So I thought that was gonna be the last I heard from him. 2 weeks later, he calls me back in a panic. That guy also dropped out, didn't perform on their contract. He was extremely upset. He was down to, just a little over a month before the end of the year, and he was gonna get hammered on his taxes. And he literally said, James, please help me. So I told him I'd still be able to help him out and put it under contract for around $180K. So I think we ended up executing our first purchase and sale agreement for about $179,500. I, at the time, figured I could wholesale it for about $185,000 pretty easily, so figured it'd be an easy $5,000. So after that, we decided to go do an inspection. We had the executed contract, knew we wouldn't be wasting our time, so we headed over to the property. About a 40-minute drive from our house, so it wasn't too bad. And upon getting there, it was actually an amazing scene. Everything was not nice, but it was actually well maintained. There was no glaring issues. Everything was exactly as it was represented, if not a little bit better. And he was also the first seller that we dealt with in a while that was super comfortable with us and let us just install a lockbox on the property, which now meant he didn't have to get involved when the cash buyers came for a showing, and everything was just gonna move a lot smoother going forwards. So we got that lockbox on there, headed back to the office, and began marketing for a cash buyer. Now, just like I said, for this deal, we got not only the seller from Facebook, but we found our cash buyer on Facebook. Like I've shown you before, and I'll put it up on the screen again, we made a flyer that looks like this. And on these flyers has all the details of the deal, as well as highlighting some of the good attributes of the deal. And then we take that, post it into the Facebook groups. As you can see here, I posted it in many Facebook groups, shared it to all the relevant Facebook groups, some that weren't so relevant. And all in all, I ended up actually getting a huge amount of interest on this property because, again, like I said, it being an all brick townhouse in the city, it was actually a pretty favorable area for a Airbnb short-term rental. I actually never ended up getting an answer back from the HOA whether or not that was allowed, but I know a lot of the buyers were interested in it for that reason. So after blasting that around in the Facebook groups, we had probably, I think it was 11 or 12 cash buyers that were interested in the deal. So we set up a showing. Me and my girlfriend went, hosted the showing. Only 4 different parties came by, total of like 7 different people. And we thought, oh man, this is kind of a crappy turnout, but we actually had 2 people that wanted to make offers to us right there at the place. We knew we were gonna be able to get around asking, and then this cool Eastern European guy who actually ended up being our buyer gave us what we were asking for, which was $186,300, and we knew we were good to go. So pretty much the next day, me and him executed an assignment contract, and here I'm going to show you a little clip of him calling me a little confused about the assignment contract and how it works, and you can see how I explained it to him, put his mind at ease, and got it locked up. So let's take a look.
Hey James.
Hey Oren, how's it going, man?
Good, good. So after I sign this, you're gonna send me a contract?
Now this is the contract, so once you sign this, then we'll be ready to rock towards close.
This is a contract?
Yeah, the actual purchase and sale agreement that I have already filled out with the seller, this contract is me assigning my rights in that contract to you. So I can show you a copy of the agreement I have with the seller, but it's just a standard purchase and sale agreement.
I got you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And over there it says like closing by the end of November. If for some reason we won't close at that time, we can get extension, because it says like it's non-refundable. You know, I'm not saying if it's my fault, it's something else, but if somebody else's fault.
Yeah, no, if it's somebody else's fault, like whatever reason the seller isn't able to do something or the title's messed up, then you would get your earnest money refunded, or we would be able to extend the closing date. But the seller's ready to move on it and close as soon as possible. You said you were cash, so you shouldn't have a problem closing in a week or 2.
I shouldn't have a problem, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we should be good to go. But if something unforeseen happens that's not your fault, then it's not going to be held against you.
Okay, man. Thank you. I'll take care of it now.
All right, sounds good, man.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right, so as you can see, he was a little bit weary, like this is the whole contract, you know, because obviously an assignment contract's really short, and he was expecting me and him to execute a purchase and sale agreement, so I had to just walk him through that, get him to sign the assignment contract, and then I turned my focus to collecting his earnest money deposit, because the last thing I knew, Bob, the seller, was in a hurry, and I knew that if this guy backed out, we were going to be left holding the bag, and I wanted to make sure we had some securities. So here's actually a copy of his earnest money deposit check that was deposited in escrow at my closing attorney's office, the same one that I always use, and he holds on to those $5,000 for me to either apply to the sale or give to me if he flakes on the deal. All right, so then once we had the earnest money deposit, we knew that the deal most likely is going to go through. I've never had somebody renege on a deal after they had given me the $5,000 earnest money deposit. That's just not going to be very likely, especially because I make mine non-refundable in my assignment contract. And again, if you want the contracts that I use, the exact ones that I've used for all my deals, just comment contracts please down below and I'll get them right to you. All right, so then after we had the earnest money deposit, the assignment signed, everything's good. I'm looking at the spread. I got it selling for a little over 186, and I got it under contract a little bit under 180. I'm only making about $6,000. Then I got to pay my attorney usually about $500 a deal. Plus sometimes some unforeseen stuff pops up. So I was like, I'm only going to make $5-6 grand. Why don't I go back to the seller and see if I can renegotiate a lower price? So I called up Bob, explained to him that my partner, and again, when I'm doing an assignment, I always refer to the person I'm assigning to as my partner. And if you think about it, they are your partner because you guys are making money together and doing a real estate transaction together. So I tell him my partner only really wants to pay this much for the property, and you know, when we actually went over there, the only thing that wasn't as good as represented was there was a leak on the faucet outside, which the cash buyer actually ended up seeing as well because we had to turn the water off so it didn't freeze. Like I said, it was November in Chicago. So I kind of touched on that, the fact that the water was a little bit leaky and it made my partner a little weary. So we asked for $4,500 off and to make the purchase price $175,000. It really didn't take much convincing. Me and him had built amazing rapport. At one point in our conversation, Bob actually said, James, I love you, man, because I was helping him out of this situation where I was saving him tens of thousands of dollars on his taxes. Where 2 other real estate agents and 5 other cash buyers had failed, I succeeded and I earned that. So here's a little snippet of that conversation I had with Bob where I was able to get him to lower the purchase price by $4,500.
Hey, James.
Hey, Bob, how you doing this Monday?
I'm doing decent. It's an interesting day.
Why is that?
Oh, just lots of work stuff going on, that's all.
I hear you.
That's all.
All right, well, Bob, I got some good news and some not as good news, okay?
All right, go for it.
All right, so the good news is that we had the inspection yesterday. I had my partners come through, and the inspection went pretty well. Nothing too crazy. And I actually have a partner that really liked the place and has decided that he wants to jump in and do the work on it.
Okay.
So that's good. The not so good news is that because of the leaking faucet, the leak in the back room, as well as the HOA not really having any reserves, kind of frightened him a little bit. He really only wanted to come in at 170, but obviously I told him you had a mortgage, and I told him you wanted to walk away with something like I promised you. So I got him to agree to 175. So do you think you'd be able to come down to that number so we can make it work and get this one closed down in the next week or two?
James, the answer is yes. I just want to, I'm not a real estate guy. So just as long as, there's no other closing costs,
Nope.
tax, anything else that's coming out of that 175.
You got it.
Exception of my mortgage payout.
Yep, you got my word. Nothing's coming out of that. That's just going to pay off your mortgage and you get the rest. Like I said, he'll be taking care of the closing costs and there won't be any other hidden fees or anything like that for you.
We have a deal.
Okay, so I'll send you an addendum to change that price. And then, so yeah, basically, like I said, my partner's going to be taking it over and doing the work. So I'm actually just going to be assigning him my rights in the contract. So it'll be good getting closed down with him. And, so you'll see an assignment fee on the settlement statement. He'll be paying that to me, and in return, he'll be closing down on the contract with you. And we'll be able to close before the end of the month, like we had said.
Before the end of the month. Okay. Anything sooner would be greatly appreciated, but I understand.
Okay, yeah, if we can get it closed down in the next, 10 days, I will push for that.
Okay. And probably, I'm just talking off the top of my head.
Sure.
When you send me this revised contract, I'm now going to send it to my lawyer guy, all right?
Yeah, it's just going to be an addendum. It's not going to be a redo of the whole contract.
Okay. All right. Okay. We got a deal.
All right, sounds good, Bob. I'll send that over to you as soon as possible, and I'll talk to you soon. Oh, also, I never heard back from the HOA guy, but I guess it's not as big of a deal anymore.
Okay. I'm going to call him either this morning or early afternoon and try. That just pisses me off.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying that he didn't answer, but...
Part of the reason that I'm so fucked on this is because of the association.
Really, why? What did they do?
Well, just because of the no reserves, the non-responsiveness, that type of stuff.
Yeah, it's not professional, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right, sir.
All right, man. I'll send that over to you in about an hour here, and we can get it going.
All right. I'm going to be out of pocket for about 2 hours, so don't be surprised if I'm a little slow.
All right, no worries, Bob.
Take care, sir. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Talk to you soon. So as you can see, he was willing to do it, didn't put up a fuss or a fight, was completely fine with it, and we kept moving forward with the deal. And now me purchasing it at 175 and wholesaling it at 186.3, I'm able to make a little over $10,000 before we take out attorney fees and whatnot. And now it's looking like a little bit more of a deal that I like to make. Now we fast forward to about 3-4 days before close, and I get a call. Bob's like, our county requires seller stamps, and he's pissed off, he's cussing, he's swearing up a storm. He's already losing a little bit of money on the deal because he had a mortgage for over 180, like 181, I think. So he's already losing a little money on the deal, which he didn't care about because, again, he's doing this for his taxes. That's his motivation, which I uncovered early on, which is what I based all my later decisions and how I worked everything off of that. So you want to make sure you identify the correct motivation of why they're selling. So he calls me up complaining about these stamps and how they're going to cost him about $2,000, $3,000. So, feeling bad because I did like Bob and I had renegotiated a lower price, I offered to go halvesies on the stamps with him, which made him delighted. He was so appreciative of it, couldn't even believe I offered. It only ended up costing me about $800, which is why my assignment fee ended up being just under 10 grand. After everything was said and done, it was like 9,600 and some change, which I was still more than happy with. And at the end of the day, you're supposed to be helping your client. So I felt like that was a win-win for everybody and left all parties feeling good when the transaction was done. And then after that, we waited out a couple more days and it was time for close. Like I said, all today, the transaction took about 28 days from the time me and Bob got the house under contract to the time I walked into the title company and picked up my check for $10,000. So that's it, guys. That's how I ended up getting a lead using Facebook, getting it under contract, finding a cash buyer on Facebook, assigning him my contract, and making $10,000 in 28 days. Now again, this is my only wholesale deal I didn't find by pulling a list off of Propstream. Hopefully Facebook ads keeps being something that's profitable for me. So yeah, guys, if you guys have any questions about how this deal went down, any steps in the deal, or anything I left out, leave them down below in the comments. If I can find any other phone calls I had with Bob that I recorded, I will happily post those. Just let me know down in the comments if you want to see those. And again, if you want the exact contracts that I use, just comment contracts please down below and I'll get them right to you. If you guys want to join my Facebook group, you can learn over there. We can JV on some deals and you can kind of stay caught up with everything that's going on. That's going to be Jamestown REI. Just search it up on Facebook. And again, there's a link down below in the description. All right, guys, you're in Jamestown now, so relax, take some notes, and let's make some fucking money.